A key question we as a society face today is how we can use and sustain our natural resources for future generations, and to achieve this without denying the livelihoods of the poor. This is a question we seek to explore here at the University of Huddersfield. Our work in Ethiopia on forests and community enterprises is one way in which we seek to address this question. This involves linking international academic expertise with the knowledge and experience of local communities in rural Ethiopia. We're delighted to be recognised for this research with its range of practical impacts and to be selected as a finalist for the Green Gown Awards. The story starts in the forgotten rainforests of the southwest highlands of Ethiopia. These forests help moderate the flow of water for the Nile Basin, impacting on agricultural production in the lowlands of Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt. They also contain an abundance of genetic resources, and the genetic origins of wild Arabica coffee are found here. These forests are also a carbon store, counterbalancing carbon dioxide emissions elsewhere. This area is important, directly and indirectly, for millions of people, including us. But population growth, clearance by local communities for farming, introduction of agribusiness, and government forest tenure policies have contributed to the rapid degradation and destruction of these forests. A partnership between the University of Huddersfield, Ethiopia's Southern Region Government, local and international NGOs and communities has created the Non-Timber Forest Products and Participatory Forest Management Project.
The project has introduced Participatory Forest Management, or PFM, as an alternative to the government top-down approach to forest protection.
The approach is based on three concepts. First, formal legal recognition of community control of the forest, so that a feeling of ownership and responsibility grows amongst the communities, which ensures sustainable use. Second, that the forest, as a renewable resource, can pay its way and actually compete against other land uses in terms of the income and benefits it generates for the community. Third, that the government can save costs by handing over responsibility for protecting the forest to the community. In summary, PFM develops and clarifies legal rights, revenues and responsibilities for communities. Developing PFM suited for the southwest forests has involved a 10-year process with many tests and lessons learned. The results have been very positive. 105,000 hectares of forest are now under community management. Critical to this has been the development of local institutions, the forest management associations, to take on the PFM process, develop bylaws around forest access, create a forest management and monitoring plan, and undertake negotiations with government. As a result of this work, forest loss from clearance is down from 2,177 hectares of forest per annum being destroyed to 400 hectares per annum. But alongside responsibilities, the community also needs to receive some benefits. Enterprise development is critical to make sure the forest pays its way. This has involved identification of potential non-timber forest products, assessing their supply and how to increase income through value chain development and better market linkages. Honey has been particularly successful, with community-based cooperatives sending honey to Addis Ababa and through them to overseas markets. This has helped secure a 24% increase in family income.
A forest protection and poverty reduction strategy can be done simultaneously if given due attention. This will create a win-win situation and improve the living conditions of the community and motivate communities to undertake protection of the forest for the long term in a sustainable manner.
Long before I became Dean 8 years ago, I introduced one of the first business ethics modules in a UK business school. So responsibility and sustainability have always been central to my agenda for the school, and we were one of the first signatories of the UN's Principles for Responsible Management Education. The project work in Ethiopia was central to the establishment of the Centre for Sustainable and Resilient Communities in 2013, which was launched by Richard Reed of the Innocent Foundation. I had the great pleasure of witnessing the work out there for myself when I visited our work in South West Ethiopia, seeing at first hand how involving people in management of the forests not only led to their long-term flourishing, but also to enhanced livelihoods for the people there.
The University of Huddersfield has been engaged in research in sustainability for over 20 years. But the key impact of the research in Ethiopia, and the key thing we've learned from that, is how effective the actual methodologies that we've employed have been. We have a strong research community at the University of Huddersfield with lots of students studying for PhDs from all kinds of different countries. And what we've been doing recently in the last 5 years has been using the methodologies and the expertise we've gained from the Ethiopian project to actually encourage our PhD students to use those methodologies in different environments and different contexts. So for example, I have a student from Libya who's looking at the challenge of agriculture in a changing environment. And we're using participatory methods to understand how those impact on farmers in those areas and what kind of steps they're taking to actually address these challenges. The Ethiopian project has been really great at informing the teaching at Huddersfield University. For example, I'm the course leader for the Risk, Disaster and Environmental Masters that we run in the business school, and we're able to use examples from the field to illustrate some of the theories that we're trying to put over to the students. So for example, on one of the modules, which is Principles of Sustainability, we're able to show how principles like subsidiarity and empowerment actually do really work in practice and how they can actually benefit the community. At the undergraduate level, there are also massive benefits. For example, I teach environmental management, and what's really interesting for me when I teach that is to see how the students can understand that the purchases they make, for example in the honey, for example, how they can trace that back and how they can think about where that came from. And we're able to use the Ethiopian experience with the honey production there to show the supply chain issues that come up to. So we see students suddenly realising that theories again in business and how they actually have a real life impact on people in other parts of the world.
I think what we are keen on here at the University of Huddersfield is to ensure that our teaching is informed by research. So the Ethiopia project offers a wonderful opportunity to allow students to link practice and theory, particularly in the social entrepreneurship module that I teach. The Ethiopia project has provided wonderful opportunities for students to gain insight into how communities can actually run economically viable projects while at the same time preserving their natural resources.
Looking forward, we are applying a number of the lessons from our research in Ethiopia in our future projects, particularly with respect to participatory approaches and the community enterprise focus.
Given the success of the Ethiopia project, we are obviously very keen to broaden the scope of our work and establish research links, particularly in Africa and in South America. In Africa, we are already in the process of starting similar initiatives in Zambia, and hopefully we'll roll this out as a Pan-African initiative where we are going to share best practice and processes showing the power of communities to take charge of their lives through enterprise.
I'm delighted that the work of the Centre for Sustainable and Resilient Communities has been marked by being a Green Gown finalist. It recognises our long-term commitment to finding practical solutions to managing the tensions between enhancing the livelihoods of people in the Global South and protecting the precious environmental resources on which all our futures depend.